Thursday episode with you the whole time. It's good to have you with us the entire show. How are you?
I'm thrilled. Anytime I get a chance to hang with not only you, Darian, Cupo, whenever we get the girl gang together, it's going to be a good time. So I'm so happy to be here.
Sandra, it's okay. You can say if Wednesdays are your favorite with me.
People know. I don't gotta say
Wait, it all. Damn. I want to feel love too.
I know. I tried to throw some to you, and then Lisa was like, "Snatch, it's all mine."
Darian, how's it going?
It is good. We're alive. We're awake.
Are we?
Are we?
Gotta get up.
It's a good day. I woke up feeling grateful.
Oh, I love that. Wow.
What made you be like, I'm grateful today?
You know what? I charged my crystals. I'm gonna get weird now. I charged my crystals during the supermoon and the lunar eclipse the other night.
Smart.
I practiced Buddhism. I did my chants. I've just been waking up feeling like, you know what? Today's a good day. I'm lucky. We get to work via remote on YouTube with my friends. Like, could be worse.
I feel more confident about my PSL admission last show now that I know that you're a full-fledged woo-woo crystal girl. Like, I love this for us.
I don't know.
I gotta know. You gotta tell me when the moon cycles are hitting so I could like get involved here because I'm like woo-woo light. But, like,
I'll hit the group chat up from now on.
Okay.
Please let us know what's happening in the world. I like it, Darian. I'm glad you're in a good mood. Well, I am too, because we get to do this and chat women's football and have a great interview today and a great show with some pretty big predictions that we are diving into, because the 2024-2025 Barclays Women's Super League season kicks off on Friday, tomorrow, and last year's title race in the league was one of the closest in recent memory, and this year might be even closer. So before it even starts, we're going to give our season predictions, because who doesn't love a season prediction, being right and being wrong? Let's start with the biggest one, the champion. Who is going to win the Women's Super League Championship? Now, Chelsea are 5-time consecutive winners, but Christine, who wins it this year?
Listen, this shirt was not intentional, but I think it's going to be Man City. It was way too close last season. They literally lost the league on goal differential the last day. I think that they have now gotten so close, both at least 3 seasons of the last 5, finishing as runners up, and their last league win being 2016. They are fed up. That, and I'm a little bit tormented by the fact that Viv Miedema, WSL all-time leading goal scorer, and Bunny Shaw, last year's Golden Boot winner, are teammates. And Viv's already come out and made her debut goal in Women's Champions League. So Man City are come out like just hammering already. They're scary.
Yeah, I have to second it.
Yeah, third it. Go off there.
Yeah, we're 3 for 3 with Man City. I think they are going to have vengeance from last year. Bunny Shaw is going to want those last couple games back. I think with Miedema, that combination is freaking scary. I don't know. We already said this about City. How do you stop their entire attack? Now you've added Miedema. It's almost going to be impossible to not let them score on you. You're going to have to try to outscore them, which I don't think many teams can do, especially in the WSL. So I've got them because they've also had more of a solid team. They've had more acquisitions than transfers away, whereas other teams have lost a lot of players, had new coaches come in. It's going to be even more of an adjustment. Looking at you, Chelsea. Sorry, Courtney. But I do think City's got this in the bag.
Yeah, they also have the best defense in the league. They only conceded 15 goals last season. I'm upset. Like, I'm excited because I'm like, let's go WSL season, but I'm upset, prematurely upset.
Yeah.
So we did not talk about our picks before this. You guys are all Man City. I also picked Man City.
Oh no, we're about to put the jinx on them. Oh no,
all of that.
Oh, no.
I know.
I was gonna say it pained me to choose them because it's like I want to sit here and be like Chelsea all the way, but there's just something about Man City coming, how they end last season, going into this season. We talked endlessly about their attack. I think it's also like the Miedema's presence, I think, is also just going to maybe alleviate any concept of pressure that may have been there for Bunny Shaw to have to go off and come back from injury and maybe have some of that expectation played upon her. They're going to have a good season, and I think it's going to be good enough to win the league.
David's with us live on YouTube, and he's like, tisk, 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 wash your mouth out. Chelsea's got it again. I love it.
David, I want you to be correct. I'm over here like making my pick. without my heart in it. I'm over here to, we like to be right. We're competitive out here too. But I mean, look, if Chelsea takes it all, I ain't gonna be mad.
My legit worry isn't that, Bunny's having this pressure alleviated. It's that they're going to compete with each other. It's going to get insane. I honestly, I'm starting to think that like Viv, now that she's healthy, could come up Golden Boot this season
Ooh.
just because she's a very competitive, smart, tactile, versatile player. And I think that being at Man City and knowing that, she is this Arsenal player, she's coming out to make a statement.
Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to our golden boots because we're doing all of it. So we all have City
All right.
winning as the champion. That's crazy. We'll have to circle back on this in a couple months. But if we all have City winning, that means they are going to be our first place. But let's round out the top three for them. So if City wins, Darian, who are your number 2 and your number 3 who finished the season?
I don't think it's going to be a surprise. Chelsea number 2, Arsenal number 3.
Everyone
Both,
say I.
unless someone has different.
Arsenal second, Chelsea third.
Oh, okay, but those top 3, I do think.
Yeah, I think that's the definitive 3. I think if anybody's going to try to squeak in, it may be Liverpool because last season they did have a way of inching up the table, but I don't really see. In my soul, I don't feel United are going to be threatening this season.
That's fair. Look, this is going to be, I think, a repeat perhaps of what we saw last year. There's going to be some fluctuating moments. There's going to be some stretches where perhaps like what we saw last season, you can't predict tragic things like injuries and things like that. And we can't even really maybe predict those teams who are going to maybe upset some of these other teams that we're looking to get top 3 or top 4. You mentioned Liverpool. Cupo, I'm with you on that. Will we see Spurs go ahead and maybe be one of those teams to kind of go up tough and like deliver kind of one of those upset results? And those are really the make or break moments. Like I think the stat is that we've never seen a team lose more than 3 games in Women's Super League and then go on to win the league. Mm-hmm. So it's like who is going to be that team to kind of really shake things up?
So, Darian, you mentioned that City, Chelsea, Arsenal. I have the same one. Does it come down to goal differential?
Comes down to goal differential for sure. Whoa. I think all of these teams are solid. City's going to outscore everybody. We already talked about their star power up top. Chelsea also has a ton of star power. You have players coming back from injury that are going to add to them, but is it going to be a little bit too late? We've seen that be the crux of the issue going late into the season. And then for me, Arsenal, they have such a good freaking team. It's just never consistent enough. They drop points against teams that they should be beating. They concede goals that shouldn't happen. Changing styles tactically against some teams that I don't think makes a lot of sense. This was last year. Maybe they'll prove me wrong, but we'll see. But that's my setup. What about you, Lisa? Did you have the same thoughts?
Same. But I don't think it'll come down to goal differential because of Miedema and Shaw at City. And frankly, because of the defense that City still has, right? They were the best defense in the league last season, only 15 goals against in 22 matches. And they still have Alex Greenwood. They still have Lily Alexandri. The defense hasn't changed at City. If anything, it's gotten stronger because the ball's going to stay at the front of the field with Viv Miedema and Bunny Shaw. So to me, it's going to be City, but not by a landslide. It's going to come down to the final few weeks, but they're going to win it outright at the end of it because goal differential isn't even going to be close between these two teams. And then I have City and Arsenal. Or I'm sorry. So City, Chelsea, Arsenal. But there are teams that are going to disrupt that are going to try to break into that top 3, that are going to throw these top 3 teams off the scent at the end of the season in their title hunt. So surprise of the season, Sandra, whether it's a good surprise or a bad surprise, which team is going to be the surprise of the season?
All right. So we're talking about, maybe I was mentioning teams that could kind of be mid-table teams who will be competitive enough to maybe kind of present an upset to this big 3 that we're talking about. And I think for a lot of us, maybe that was Liverpool last year, but I'm going to maybe go for the new kids on the block. I'm looking at Crystal Palace to maybe, just maybe, be the ones to do something crazy. Listen,
boy.
I had to shake it up here. We're saying too many things where we're agreeing with each other. And I said, this is going to be the moment where one of us is going to have some wild takes. So I think Crystal Palace might have approximately one game where they will deliver some sort of upset in any capacity, whether it's an actual handing someone a loss, handing someone a draw, they're going to deliver.
How much responsibility will it be of Katie Stengel on Crystal Palace to do that upsetting?
It's gonna be tough, but I think she'll be up to the challenge.
I couldn't disagree more, as we'll see later in the show with regards to Crystal Palace. But I know it's Crystal Palace slander. I just think it's difficult coming into the league.
It is.
Coming into WSL. You lost your leading goal scorer. I'll get more into that later. But yeah, I disagree. I do think Man United is the sleeper team. I think that they have Valento's Joyce playing out of the back. I mean, a lot of United's mistakes last year were issues playing out of the back, lack of confidence, lack of movement from the center backs. They picked up Janssen, Netherlands international, who's great, really effective, also great on set pieces, is going to bring some confidence. And then I think Smia Wujo is a player that's going to get a lot of minutes. I think she adds a lot to their attack. She's powerful, super young player, going to want to develop. And I feel like when you're that young and you go into a team like United, who she said she grew up as a United fan, you kind of go in with the audacity to just try things. You don't really care. You've signed with the team. You want to make a statement. I think she's going to help them a lot. And then getting Miyazawa on the ball, getting the best out of Miyazawa, I think is going to be really effective. So I think United's my sleeper team that may screw up my prediction of the top three that I made earlier, but we'll see. I have some faith.
That's music to United fans' ears, hands down. Christine, what about you? Sleeper team, surprise team of the season, whether it's good or bad?
No, I think that, I mean, granted, I'm not trying to say that they're going to crack into like top 4, top 5, but I think that they will fare a lot better. Aston Villa. I think that they have consistently season over season tried to bring in reinforcements, and this season they'll also have matches at Villa Park. I think that's going to give them a bit of a bump, just more exposure. But I think their personnel is starting to come together a little bit. I know they lost a couple of key players, but I think they're turning a page. They're realizing like game face on, let's go.
My sleeper team, surprise team is Liverpool. They with under Matt Beard, right? They were able to break into the top 4 last season. They had really good moments of upset. And with a new young acquisition in Olivia Smith, the Canadian international, to join this group, I think she could be the spark that Liverpool need just to cause some upsets. I'm more on the lines of Sandra right here in terms of like throw other teams off points, take points away from them, disrupt them on goal differential, right? Be really solid defensively, especially down the stretch of the season, and just create chaos in the Super League, especially in the top 4, top 5 at the end of the year. I'm going with Liverpool. I want them to just go a little crazy. Now, we talked about the top half of the table. Let's look at the bottom half of the table. Predictions for the end of the season. A team that's going to get relegated. Darian, I think I know where you're going with this.
Comment.
Why do you know that? Sandra, sorry. I don't think Crystal Palace are going to make it far. I'm so sorry. They're losing Elise Hughes. Unfortunately, she tore ACL. She's out for this year. She's their leading goal scorer and honestly the brightest spark in their attack. Yes, they brought in the likes of a Katie Stengel, who I have faith in, but I don't know if she's in a position where she can really turn this team around to be that effective against the big dogs in the WSL. And when you have so many acquisitions, you have a team coming up into a new league, that competition level takes a long time to adjust. I don't know if they have it in them just yet. West Ham is also another team I'm still not feeling great about. I think it's going to be a little bit more of a battle between those two teams on the bottom of the table, like the literal bottom of the table. But for me, Crystal Palace, it's going to be a really difficult year.
Oh, I like that shout. All right, Christine, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I had the same thing. My expectation is they're going to be a yo-yo team, elevator up, elevator down. The only other team really in my mind that I think could end up getting relegated, honestly, is West Ham. They just have not been very good. They were not good last season. Yeah.
Tough
Yeah,
stuff.
that's a tough one. Sandra, what
stuff.
about you?
No love for Crystal Palace. Listen, and rightfully so.
You get a lot of love.
This is the pattern. And look,
surprise team top.
even
top
Bristol got approximately 1 win last season. Okay, and that's the energy I was going with. Not that they were gonna like do some massive run of the table. Let's be real here. Come on, y'all. No, I think they will have at least
Crystal
one
Palace
good.
for champion.
Yeah, right.
Social, Sandra Herrera thinks
Yeah,
Crystal
don't get me wrong.
Palace
If
are
they
winning
go all
the
the way, I'll be
WSL
like,
championship.
yeah, I'll be like, whoa. Yeah, I know. That's absolutely what's gonna get clipped now, and misinformation is gonna start spreading rampant. I love it here. No, I think look, even last year Bristol got at least 1 win, and I think that's the energy I was going with Crystal Palace. Maybe they'll get that one result where it could kind of shake things up or change the trajectory of one of the other upper half table teams. But just echoing Darian's sentiments already, that's the recipe, right? Like you get promoted, and unfortunately maybe you see a bit of a struggle, and then you get relegated again. We saw that happen with Bristol last season. We've seen it happen before in other campaigns, and I won't be shocked if it happens again in this one with Crystal Palace. But that's not to say, just because that's maybe the safe or maybe easy pick, that Cupo, I also agree with, that maybe West Ham could be flirting a little bit with regulations here. I mean, Leicester City, can we really maybe kind of throw them in the mix as well? So, I mean, just like the top 3, I think maybe the bottom 3, you got to take a look at and see what we're going to be going with there as well.
Sandra, you stole the words right out of my mouth. Although I don't think Crystal Palace is going to run the table, I think that Leicester has a bit of a bigger uphill climb to face, right? Crystal Palace has the naivety of knowing nothing about the Super League and just going to say, hey, let's go in there, let's play our game, right? It can give a team a little bit of sauce, but for Leicester, they've struggled, right? The changing in their coaching staff this offseason, they really haven't made too many acquisitions to bulk up their roster, and they've struggled. They've been consistently average, finishing 10th in the last several years. It's just not looking good for them. I'm nervous about where Leicester could go at the end of this season, potentially back down to the championship. Individual players in the Women's Super League get to win a lot of awards. So let's take a look at them specifically. We're going to start with Golden Boot. Christine, you alluded to this earlier in the show, so I'll let you take it away. Who wins the Golden Boot this year for you?
Oh yeah, alluded. No, I flat out said no. I think Viv Miedema is going to come for a Golden Boot this year. I think she has a massive statement that she's prepared to make, having departed Arsenal after being the quintessential Arsenal player under no uncertain terms. And I think that having the competition, the friendly competition, and just knowing that she's got a quality goal scorer beside her in Bunny Shaw, she's going to be extra motivated to just run it up. And again, she's already scored her debut goal for City in this Women's Champions League match. So I think that that's just a little glimmer of what's to come in this season.
Miedema only scored because Bunny Shaw wasn't available. We'll get to that. But Bunny Shaw is my Golden Boot. She's going to go back to back with the City side. Having Miedema there is going to push Shaw to be better, score more goals, be more lethal, and she's going to stay healthy the whole season, which gives her an extra 8 games to continue scoring more. I'm going to go Bunny Shaw, but also
Hold up.
City.
You think that Viv only scored because Bunny wasn't there? You know that Viv just scores goals, creates goals, makes goals, digs goals out of thin air?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is going to be a season.
Incredible. Breaking news. Lisa Carlin says.
Bunny was taking a nap, so Viv said, I'll step up today, I guess.
Oh, goodness. I'm with Lisa. Shocker. I'm here for Queen Bunny making the run again. And hopefully lessons were learned over this last weekend. And Man City will ensure that all of the paperwork is where it needs to be so that they are never without Bunny Shaw throughout the remainder of their campaign. Any game, any tournament, whatever it is. But I'm 100% here to see the return of Bunny Shaw. I think it came down to goal differential last year. Maybe they thought they had enough of a cushion to where they could have saw out the remainder of that season. You saw in the body language of that team when it came down to the final week how it was a title that slipped away from them. And Bunny Shaw not being there was absolutely a key factor. So hopefully she returns, and with Lisa, we will manifest good things and make sure that she stays healthy throughout this season and racks up another golden boot.
We need Darian's crystals to make sure she stays healthy too.
They're right here. They're right next to me. I'm looking at them now. Oh, I also want to say my girl Bun Bun, but I want to be different. I'll say Alessia Russo. Sleeper, I think that she can really be effective. I actually think this last year we've seen her really find her groove as that solid 9. Her hold-up play has been incredible. Also with the Lionesses, she's been fantastic, scoring goals, really tricky goals as well, putting her body on the line. Her finishing has gotten so much better. She just looks confident in herself, and I think this could be the year for her to maybe outscore everybody. I don't really know if she will, but I do think that she will score more goals than she did last year and be really effective on and off the ball.
Good shout for Alessia Russo. Player of the season, Sandra. Who's the player of the season?
All right, I'm gonna go a little bit. Out on a limb here as well, because I really liked this signing, but it all depends on how she's utilized and how much time she gets with the team. But I really liked the signing for Arsenal of Rosa Kafaji from Häcken, and I just, fingers crossed, I want to hope and believe that she will have this type of breakout season, that there won't be a gap from going from one league to another league, that she will just hit the ground running and go. I think she could be a really key piece for this team that's kind of trying to find their way back into the mix of kind of running the league. So hopefully it's going to be her.
Christine?
I'm going to go Hasegawa for City. I think she's just such an important piece of that midfield and just the connector between that back line and just creation into the attack, just a string puller quintessentially. I think that she's sort of an unsung hero, although she does get, I think, pockets of hype. But I think that she'll stand out again this year.
Darian?
I am going to go with Fran Kirby with Brighton. I don't think we got to see as much of her last year with Chelsea. This is a player who has been formidable in her career. Yes, she's a little bit older, and I think that's why she was getting on the more of the bubble with Chelsea. They're obviously wanting to go into a different direction and shape the team into what the youth look like. I still think she's one of the best players in the world by far. So going to a team where she's going to have that time, she's going to have the ability to lead in the midfield, up top, take set pieces, look effective. For me, she might be player of the season.
Yeah,
it's going to be like really disorienting seeing her not in a Chelsea shirt for probably half of the season. I think it just is like a weird brain glitch that I'm going to have.
Yeah, this weekend's going to be interesting seeing all the new players. My player of the season is going to be Lauren Hemp. When you think of her production last year as a forward with Manchester City, she had 11 goals, 8 assists. I don't think goal scoring wise, she's going to be as productive this season, just behind Viv Miedema and Bunny Shaw. However, she's going to be able to set them up so much for success and contribute in different ways in the attack, become more of a playmaker and an orchestrator on the pitch that creates chances and goal scoring moments for City. So I'm going to go with Lauren Hemp as my player of the season. In this offseason, a lot of transfers came into the league that we now get to see new players contribute. For the best transfer, Darian, who are you keeping an eye on in the league?
Olivia Smith to Liverpool. I think this is a really young player. Again, I'm with the youth. I want to be Gen Z. I think they're coming in with some boldness, some confidence. Matt Beard, that's something that team needed last year. Somebody to just try something. Somebody that can run at back lines that isn't, I think, caught up in how the team is playing, but plays with a little bit more freedom. And for me, a younger player is just going to do that. And she's proven that with Canada. So for me, she's a player that I think is a really, really good transfer for Liverpool because they need some bulk up top.
Yeah, that's a good transfer. I like the youth too of Olivia Smith. I'm going to go Lucy Bronze from Barcelona to Chelsea.
That's a good one.
She's absolutely going to destroy this league. She's going to have so much fun with it, be able to like play with a lot more freedom, have a little bit more of her freedom and creative spark on the ball because she's not just going to be going up against low blocks every single time. She's going to be a huge asset to Chelsea and Sonia Bonpastor. I'm going Lucy Bronze, Christine.
Dang, I keep forgetting how yoked Chelsea is. I know.
Disrespect.
It's actually
Aggie
ridiculous.
Beaver Jones. Yeah, it's pretty wild over there. It's crazy how similar we think because I totally had Olivia Smith in my back pocket too, but my pick is actually Mariona Caldente. So I think that that's a massive pickup for Arsenal. Obviously, 2 times Champions League winner, World Cup winner, brings a lot of just finesse to that midfield. I think that she's just a great asset to have. I think that'll be like a reinvigoration point. I think, yeah, big time. Let's go.
For me, I'm gonna give a little bit of love to Man United. Hate to do it, but when they signed Elizabeth Turlin from Brighton, I thought great pickup, someone who could maybe kind of shake things up in the attack for this team moving forward, because this was a team that I think got a little stagnant at a certain point in last season, and they couldn't really find an answer and to get something in the back of the net. And part of why I think maybe we were high on Brighton going into this season was because of a player like her. But guess what? Turlin's not there anymore. She's with Man United. So I'm going with Turlin and Man United.
We have a lot of youth across the Super League this season, Christine. So best young player, your prediction for this year?
Rosa Kafaji. I think we saw what she was capable of with Hacken. Arsenal sliding in and picking her up. She's only 21 years old, has a lot of poise. She's really composed. She's shown that she melds well with that team already. I think that this is going to be a breakout season for her.
Double
Darian?
down.
I like that shout. I'm going Simi Awujo. For me, this is
that's
a
a good one
great
too.
pickup for United. Am I a United fan suddenly?
Don't please. I
No,
love you
what
too
the
much.
hell is going
Don't
on?
do that.
But for me, she's powerful. She's strong. She's 5'9". She's going to be a great target on set pieces. For me, I see her getting a lot of minutes with United. She's going to be best player of the year, young player of the year for me.
Yeah, just doubling down on Kafaji. I just think that this player has an opportunity to do something special in one of the biggest leagues in the world and with one of the most iconic brands in the globe. So hopefully continues to get some minutes and they utilize her and we'll get to see something special.
I'm going Olivia Smith, the Canadian international 20-year-old with Liverpool, because she's going to get a lot of minutes. I think she's going to be able to contribute a lot, help Liverpool be that sleeper team that disrupts and takes points off other teams in competition. I had an honorable mention, though, with Fujino, the Japanese international 20-year-old. It comes in from Japan to Manchester City, where she was league MVP for the previous 2 years in Japan. However, I'm not sure how much of an impact immediately she's going to have at City. I could imagine they almost take a slow incline progression for Fujino to really cement herself at City. So next year, I think she could really win this award, but I want to keep an eye on her. Honorable mention for Fujino, but City's just a little too stacked that they're not going to rely on a young forward to be as big of an influence as someone who wins a Best Young Player award needs to be in this league. Okay, so this was really fun. I loved looking at these predictions and potentially seeing how wrong we were or how right we were at the end of the season. We'll get our first
Crystal Palace wins the league. Sandra Herrera.
That's what I said verbatim. Got that quote.
We'll get our first taste of what these teams and what these players are going to look like in match day 1. We'll have a fixture preview next. Stick with us. Hey everyone, welcome back to Attacking Third. Darian, Christine, Sandra, and Lisa previewing the Barclays Women's Super League match day 1. It all kicks off on Friday. We have a host of games across the weekend, but let's start our preview with a bang. Arsenal taking on Manchester City. This match Sunday at 7:30 a.m. And we're starting with a bang at the Emirates. Manchester City finished second last year in the league. Arsenal third. Coming into this match day, Arsenal, they fell 1-0 away from home to Häcken in the Champions League qualifiers. Meanwhile, City, they dominated a 5-0 win over Petty FC in Champions League goals from Miedema, a brace from Jess Park, Mary Fowler, and Chloe Kelly also getting on the score sheet. But Christine, Viv Miedema in the opening match day gets to stare down the barrel at her old team. First day at the office. So is it a question, Christine, of if or how many goals Miedema scores in this match?
I think, unfortunately, it's going to be a how many. It's definitely going to be a how many. Although, obviously, everyone, for the most part, has played with Viv. They know what she's capable of. I'm sure that they'll be adjusting tactically, which will be an entirely new side of the coin for a lot of these defenders. Viv Miedema is definitely someone that you want to have on your team, not have to worry about marking. But it should be a spicy one. Obviously, what we saw with Arsenal against Häcken is that they were dominant. They were possessing. They were clean in their passing. They just were not converting their chances. So while Jonas doesn't seem particularly fussed about it yet, I think that if we see that happen again, especially starting the season, not just in this first entry point where I think they'll come back around and sort of right the ship in Champions League, I think this will be an important statement going into this match, especially against Viv Miedema and Man City first go round.
Yeah, big battle between these sides. For City, in their Champions League play, they were without forward Bunny Shaw due to a visa error. So, I mean, yeah, a bit of an eye roll for sure, Darian. It's a little bit embarrassing. However, City now has a fully rested Bunny Shaw available Wednesday.
Scary season.
Scary
season. But I think because if I'm Arsenal and I'm the players, I'm thinking, okay, this is the time where we can try to hit City. Yes, they have some new players. It's early in the season. I don't know if they're gelling totally. Bunny Shaw, maybe she's not fully informed because she hasn't had full 90 minutes. This is the time where you can really just swing and see how you land against City, especially knowing that we don't know the chemistry between Miedema and Bunny Shaw yet, but I imagine it's great. But this is me being hopeful on the Arsenal side, that you need to go at them. Arsenal has a really stacked front line as well. This is a team they also need to be feared. But I think we're going to see these two teams come out working on the new principles to elevate their games from what we saw last year and just try. It's the first game of the year. You have nothing to lose. This is where you're going to learn the most from them, see where your team is at, where you need to adjust. These are two top teams in the league, two of the top three teams in the league. So I think we're going to see a really fun, possibly high-scoring game, I hope, but we'll see.
I would love to see some bangers, but I kind of feel like maybe that might come later in the season. There's something about those early weeks of any professional season where you're trying to get adjusted to things, where you're establishing your team's identities, and maybe, just maybe, we'll get a little bit of that in this game. Of course, we're gonna hype it up because we're so happy that this league is back, but what is that chemistry going to look like between Shaw and Miedema? How is Arsenal's defense going to want to respond to the game that they just had against Häcken? Like, they're not going to want to let Bunny Shaw and Miedema come into the Emirates and just have a way with them. So I'm looking for maybe a closer game a little bit in this one, but I think maybe Arsenal comes out on top.
So, Sandra, you think they play a little safer?
I do.
We'll see.
I don't know. I feel like this is definitely the match of the weekend, but it also has the extra sort of pizzazz of being like Arsenal were the ones that snatched that title out of Man City's hands last season, and Stina Blackstenius put her name all over that goal. So they were kind of the tipping point. I think that this is like a really interesting start for the season, but a super exciting one. I want to see Mariona Caldente and Rosa Cavaggi working together. And then Beth Meado has to pull up. I think I'm excited. I mean, I don't like waking up at 7 a.m. for matches, but here we go.
7:30 a.m. on Sunday, Arsenal against Manchester City, definitely the match of the weekend. But another one, Friday afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern, Chelsea taking on Aston Villa. It is the reigning Super League champions under Sonia Bonpastor. Chelsea, roster notes heading into this match. They are without some of their key pieces. 3 players suffered from ACL injuries, are unavailable. That's forward Sam Kerr, forward Mia Fischel, and midfielder Sophie Engel, who is out for the season. She suffered a torn ACL in the preseason friendly against Feyenoord on September 7th. Defender Niamh Charles, she had surgery yesterday, Wednesday, on her dislocated shoulder. That also occurred during that friendly versus Feyenoord. No specific timeline on Charles' return to. However, Erin Cuthbert potentially available. She should be available to play the midfielder for Chelsea. Darian, knowing the Chelsea roster, the players individually, the skill that they have, what do you need to see from the Blues in this first match under Sonia Bonpastor?
I mean, we saw them whomp Gotham about a month and some change ago. I think we need to see them build on that. They looked like they were super strong in transitional moments. The players that they had acquired in the offseason in the transfer market were great. I thought Sandy Baltimore came in and just looked like the Energizer Bunny we know her to be, and she fits seamlessly. But no one was up to pace with her. So I for Chelsea, I want to see those connections building. I want to see the Sonia Bonpastor DNA of how they're going to play, how they get the outside backs really high and wide, but also how defensively they're better structured going into this year, and don't allow teams to maybe play over the top of them. But for me, it's really key on those new players they acquired, seeing their relationships build while also getting the best out of a player like Sandy Baltimore to the most effective level.
Christine?
Yeah, this is going to be the David and Goliath match of the weekend. Chelsea are terrifying, obviously. Villa, however, Gabby Nunes, pull up. They're going to be riding that new manager bump. So I think that will be somewhat helpful, but I think this is going to be an absolute battle for them.
Love to see it. Okay, so that match at Kings Meadow, Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Chelsea versus Aston Villa. The last one that we are previewing ahead of the Barclays Super League match day 1, Manchester United against West Ham. This match is Saturday at 7 a.m. Last season, West Ham struggled. They finished 11th in the table, only 3 wins in league play, but they've got some reinforcements this year, full-time. Christy Mewis, Katrina Gorey, in addition to a ton of other transfers. They look different. However, United, Sandra, they finished 5th last season. They get to host this game at Old Trafford, and their roster looks differently, most notably at the goalkeeper position without Mary Earps, who's now in France at PSG. So, Sandra, without Earps, what do you expect from United defensively, and who's going to start in goal?
Oh my goodness! First of all, I'm surprised you didn't go to Darian because this is her favorite team.
So it's gonna be a Man United shirt.
Yeah,
Someday.
now that we just discovered at this episode that she's like Red Devils all the way. But look, I think when we're looking at the head-to-head of these two teams, it'd be foolish to not go with Man United. And I need them to get this win just for my own peace of mind, because this was a team, I think, at a certain point in last campaign where we just were looking for them to take that next step despite all of the constant narratives around them. Mary Earps, will she stay? Will she go? She's gone. Nikita Paris kind of getting goals and kind of like making a name for herself there. Again, we're talking about players that they have to navigate this new season without. So who's going to step up? I'm hopeful that Mallard is going to shake things up for Man United, and this is the player that I think they really need to see get going. And I think in terms of the back line, I think they help kind of ensure some things with Dominique Jensen for Wolfsburg. So I thought, maybe we didn't give them a lot of love in terms of like some of the big transfer moves, but I think part of the narrative that came out of Man United that we heard constantly from Mark Skinner was that they had to make moves, that they had to be competitive within the transfer windows specifically. So hopefully they get the win in this one. And
then they moved them out of the big house and made them, be so for real. The man just recently had to issue another statement just to address the fact that the women have not been displaced. This is a better situation. They're closer to the pools. I'm like, man, this does not get better. Your PR campaign is not going to work here. But I digress. I do think that this I feel like is the more too early to tell match, because West Ham did make a lot of moves and they were very poor last season. I think it will just a big question as to like how well they're coming together. I think that's going to take a little bit of time. So right now I'm going to have to say that my prediction is leaning in favor of United.
Same. And United have Grace Clinton.
Mhm.
Shout
Huge.
out. That's a huge
Massive last
acquisition.
season. Yeah.
So I think, yeah, it's going to United, but West Ham, there's some beauty in the naivete of having a new coach. You have players coming back from injury. You have some good acquisitions. I still think they'll put up a fight against United, but I think United, it's in favor of them simply because they have more history with this team. They've had the same coach. They can build on what they had last year with a little bit more solid ground. But I do think maybe West Ham could be a bit of a sleeper team.
Oh, yeah, that will be fun to watch. Saturday, Manchester United hosting West Ham. Big news and a big weekend that we get to watch all of these games. Match day 1 in the Barclays Women's Super League kicks off on Friday with Chelsea hosting Aston Villa. Saturday, we got United against West Ham, and then Brighton against Everton at 7:30 a.m. Sunday, 9 a.m., Tottenham versus Crystal Palace in their first ever WSL match, and then Liverpool against Leicester. And set your alarms for 7:30 a.m. Arsenal against Manchester City on Sunday. Big weekend ahead. And we've got plenty more Attacking Third for you with big news of transfers and trades and contract extensions coming up next. Stick with us. Welcome back to Attacking Third. Breaking news out of Washington Spirit today. Defender Tara McKeown has signed a new 4-year contract running through the 2027 season plus an option year. McKeown has been an integral part of the Spirit backline since 2023 when she made the switch from forward to defender and is a current Iron Woman, starting and playing every single minute this season. Now, Darian, Jonathan Giraldez wants Tara McKeown to stick around. Exciting for her.
This is massive. It's a huge compliment to her, and she absolutely deserves it. I mean, forward, outside back, center back. We're going to see her in the midfield at some point. Like, what can't she do? This is a player that is a utility player, but also specializes in certain positions, which is so rare. And she's young, and she has this brilliant coach coming in to help her elevate her career. She's going to be next to Esme Morgan for years to come. I think this was a really smart move by the Spirit to solidify their back line. And shout out to Tara McKeown. Very well deserved.
Very well deserved. This new deal for Tara McKeown takes place and it's effective immediately, replacing McKeown's current contract. And guess what? Tara McKeown joins us next to talk about this contract extension, her season with the Spirit, and so much more. Stick with us. Hey everyone, welcome back to Attacking Third. We are pleased now to be joined by Washington Spirit defender, I'm just going to keep putting it in quotes, Tara McKeown. Tara, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Congratulations, because you just signed a huge 4-year contract extension with the Washington Spirit. So congrats to you. You're staying in DC. Why was this the right decision for you?
Yeah, it's definitely become my second home out here. And with the vision that Michelle has and the new coaching staff and the players around me, I just knew that this was the right fit for me for the next 4 years.
Amazing. Tara, you came in 2021 NWSL draft, direct to Washington Spirit, and then you that season become their first NWSL championship winning team. If you could go back in time now, knowing all that you have, all of the growth that you've experienced there, what note would you drop yourself prior to that draft?
I think I was really nervous going into that draft, like figuring out where I'm going to be and what team I'm going to be on. But I think I just tell myself, like, just to enjoy the moment and it's all going to work out and I'm going to enjoy my career so far. So yeah, just enjoy.
Alleviate some of that pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. It's wild to think about your time with the Spirit since 2021 because the franchise itself has gone through some changes of its own, whether it's been on the ownership side or whether it's, players coming in and out. And with this season, there was a part of that. Free agency got introduced during your time with the Spirit, and this year it brought the arrival of Casey Kruger. So I was wondering if you wouldn't mind chatting a little bit about your experiences playing in her first year with the Spirit along the back line there.
Yeah, it's been great. I honestly think the back line has gelled really well together. We brought in more players and we're able to just be friends on and off the field. Casey is like one of the best people you'll ever meet. And so having her on the team has just been like a light for the back line and the team itself. I also just think that like our chemistry off the field is showing like how well we mesh and combine on the field. So that's a big plus going into the next 4 years.
Tara, I wanted to ask you about bouncing around between so many positions because I was a forward and for some reason coaches freaking love to make forwards outside backs, but you've migrated to center back now. Why do you think that's so common and which one is your actual preferred position?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Like you, I played outside back a lot too in college and like the youth national team growing up, but never really got thrown into center back from a forward position. So I definitely think that was a shock when I was told that I was going to be a center back because I was going into that meeting like thinking they wanted to move me to defense, but I was thinking outside back because that's what usually happens. But I think definitely now in my second year at center back, I'm more comfortable and I really do enjoy that position. I enjoy being on the ball and seeing the field in front of me and just being able to play make from the back. So I think now I'd say I like center back.
Ooh, whoa, a hot take. I was totally expecting something opposite.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I didn't think when I first changed, I was like, okay, I kind of miss it up front still. But yeah, second year, I'm really enjoying it back there.
It's no wonder because you're very good at it. So that also helps to make it an enjoyable position. But why do coaches do that? Like, what are the skills and the technical ability that you had as a forward and still have that translates so well to being a center back?
I think one of the big ones was like physicality and 1v1 defending. And then like being able to see the passes like that like a 9 would see to the outside like forwards, like breaking lines. I think that's a big one you need to have like as a center back is seeing which passes can break lines going forward but put your teammates in a good position to succeed also. So I think all of that was what probably threw me back there.
I don't know. I think you discount it because your long balls are beautiful. Your chance creation, the crosses, the accuracy, you kind of are like a quintessential center back, whether or not you wanted to be, but you're absolutely crushing it in that back line.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Who has been sort of a major chemistry builder in the back line with you?
I think this year we had like the same group basically for like the first half of the season. So I think we were able to build the chemistry a lot with like Ani, Gabby, Casey, and when Kate wasn't injured, like her playing back there, everyone was just so open to receiving feedback and wanting to get better that like there wasn't really any like mad that they're playing over me or anything like that. And I think that still stands with the players that we've brought in after the international break. Everyone just wants to get better and wants our team to succeed. So I'm like really excited for Esme to be back here, and she's just a great person on and off the field as well, and just brings more energy to the back line and the Spirit. So I think, like, honestly, everyone, I can't have enough good words to say about all of them.
Esme Morgan made her NWSL and Washington debut last weekend, and it was a game against Houston in which you guys dominated, right? 3-0. Congrats on the big win. But before that match, what kind of conversations did you have with Esme about adjusting to the NWSL, going against a Houston side, anything leading into that game?
Yeah, I think before the game, the message was to just, like, she's a great player. So just play how she knows she can play, and be like, you don't need to be nervous or anything. We were trying to play the football that, like, she probably came from, just passing from the back, breaking lines, beating defenders in the back. So I feel like it wasn't that big of a change for her. I don't know, maybe she'd say different, but she did amazing, and she's still doing amazing, like, every day. So I think just going forward, it's just working on that chemistry as well.
I love that. You've talked a little bit about making those adjustments from being a more attacking player to obviously staying on the back line. And throughout a player's career, conversations that I've had with players, when we talk about examples to go off of, maybe role models that they have, they're able to point out, especially if they're a striker, like, oh, I like to follow this player, or I'm a big fan of this player's, ability. For you, having now made this switch at the professional level, have you had a time to say, like, I'm looking at this defender or that defender, and I like what they bring to their game, or I'm trying to model things after here, or looking at so-and-so as a center back example here?
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone who plays center back is right now looking at Naomi Girma and the ability that she's able to create on the ball and the defending that she has. So I think that was always one who, since I've switched to center back, I've been watching her a lot. And of course, like, Becky Sauerbrunn, she's been amazing. And I think it's great to have these players in the league that I can look up to, because I'm watching these games to just, like, put on a Friday night, but I'm also learning as well. So maybe they don't want me to learn from them, but while I'm watching. But yeah, I think a lot of great center backs are in the league. So it's amazing to just watch and see what I can be better at.
Tara, you came into the league at a really interesting time where now there's celebrity owners coming in. Women's soccer is cool. It's, like, now really on the map. Can you talk about the transformation and what it's been like, especially with an owner like Magic Johnson now investing into the team and showing up at games, and really what that's done for the community around the Spirit?
Yeah, I think it's great. And it's not just what, like, it's done for the community around the Spirit. It's like women's soccer as a whole. Like, the amount of people investing and coming out to games and believing in women now is just showing the younger generation that there's something to look forward to when you want to be a professional soccer player. And that's actually, like, an obtainable career, and you can, like, do it and have fun and live, like, your dream, basically, is what I am doing.
God, that's so cool to hear. It is really fun. And then to watch Magic Johnson be at the games with Michelle Kang. I mean, Michelle Kang is a very visible public figure and
an icon.
Yeah. Right? She does so much to grow this sport. Washington Spirit, Tara, has had a very interesting coaching arc this year. A lot of times it goes the opposite way. You start with a head coach and then you get an interim because things maybe go sour during the season. That was the opposite. Yeah. This year started with Adrian Gonzalez as the temporary head coach before Jonathan Giraldes was able to come in. How has that transition been? I mean, like, thinking back on it, like, you guys had 2 head coaches this year and you clinched the playoffs earlier than ever in club history. Why?
I think it was the understanding that this was what was happening. Like, there wasn't any, like, blindsided or, like, thinking that we were going to keep Adrian as the head coach. Like, we knew it was laid out to us what was going to happen and when Jonathan was going to be here. And when Jonah came, we knew, like, he was the head coach, and so did Adrian. And he, like, he's amazing, and he was amazing at head coach. And now being as an assistant coach, it's, like, even better. He's able to create those relationships with players more, and I feel like have more, like, he's more relaxed. I feel like not as stressed as, like, a head coach. But yeah, I think their chemistry and the whole coaching staff chemistry that we brought in has just been amazing. And it's like everyone's understanding going into the situation that this was happening. So there was no like bad blood or anything when changes did occur.
That's so good to hear. And clearly it paid off, right?
Yeah.
Like the team doing so well.
Right? We love good coaches in the NWSL. Tara, I wanted to ask about Ulay Sar. I got to play with her in France for a year. We played together at Bordeaux, and she is a goofy woman. Love her. You have said that she's the funniest player on the team. Can you give us a story or share why you say that?
It's just like the way she does really anything. And when we're like coming into meetings and she'll be like the last one trickling in before the time is like up. And as she's like walking in, Jonah's like, how are you today, Ulay? And every time, like before she answers, we all know the answer. So it's going to be like tired. And every time. And then Jonah like started like answering for her before she would. But yeah, she's just like a great girl. And some people I feel like don't understand with the language barrier, but she knows pretty good English now. And so more people are beginning to understand that she's really hilarious. And like, honestly, because of the language barrier, it's like some of the things that she says that maybe wouldn't be funny, but the way she says them and like not the right way, it's like pretty funny still.
Yeah.
We try to have a little bit of fun here, so I love that you're talking about the jokes that Ulay makes. But we also try to close out with maybe a non-soccer question from time to time, and we tend to lean towards whether it's coffee orders or music. And in this case, we know you're a big fan of country. So just curious, what's on your playlist rotation right now? What's the artist that we need to add on to our Attacking Third playlist? Like, give us the cuts.
Well, actually, like a lot of players on the team who don't like country, but like are trying to get into it. Like the Post Malone new album is like a country album, and it's so good. And he has like Luke Combs on, Blake Shelton, and all these like big country singers that I feel like I like the songs, and I'm a country girl. And then some of the girls on the team who aren't country girls still like the songs. So yeah, definitely give him a listen too.
Do you have a Cowboy Carter opinion?
I like her songs, but I feel like it's not very much country.
Fair enough.
You're a country purist.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite artist?
I love Kenny Chesney, Toby Keith, like Luke Combs, Megan Maroney. Yeah. Honestly, anyone. I feel like I would go to any country concert. So Tyler Childers.
I just appreciate how ready you are for this question. Like there's moments where we get players like, oh, let me get my phone, let me look, let me scroll. You came ready. I appreciate that.
That's like all I listen to. So I feel like I know it all well.
Well, we're adding it to our Attacking Third playlist, Tara. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And congratulations on your contract extension, making the playoffs, and good luck this weekend and the rest of the season with Washington.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Don't go anywhere. We've got plenty more Attacking Third coming up next. Welcome back to Attacking Third alongside Darian, Sandra, and Christine. I'm Lisa. NWSL Match Day 21 is here. It's in the books. It all starts on Friday. We've got number 4 Kansas City Current hosting the number 2 Washington Spirit, 8 p.m. on Prime. Also Bay taking on Orlando Pride. Saturday, Louisville hosts North Carolina. Then Houston welcomes Seattle to Shell Energy Stadium, and Chicago play San Diego Wave. On Sunday, we got Gotham FC taking on the Utah Royals, an afternoon 1 p.m. kick. And we get Monday, 10 p.m. They like us up late during the week. Angel City hosting Portland Thorns, that match on CBS Sports Network. The biggest match, arguably, of the weekend is Kansas City, current number 4, taking on number 2 Washington Spirit. It's their second meeting in the regular season. The first one came in August when Washington thumped KC 4-1. And since then, Washington has gone undefeated. But for Kansas City, they have an opportunity to clinch the playoffs with a win. They can also clinch with the draw, but they need some help. Easiest way is with a Kansas City win. However, the Current have only picked up 4 points in their last 4 matches. 1 win, 2 losses, and 1 draw. Plus, they've only scored 3 goals. Sandra, it's very important for Kansas City to pick up points, not only to get a win, but really to reestablish themselves as a big dog heading into the playoffs. How do they do it against Washington?
100%. They've just been tumbling down the standings ever really since, what was it, that 4-1 meeting that they just had at the end of August. But there are some moments in the season where that enact change. And I think that was maybe the moment. That was not a good loss. You're talking about 2 contenders going head to head. We were talking about it as if it was a playoff preview. And then Kansas City had a terrible performance. Letting in 4 goals was not something that you want to do at this stage in the season, especially if you're considering yourself a contender. And we thought, is this the moment where we see a shift in maybe the goalkeeper post? And that's exactly what ended up happening. So while they haven't scored a lot of goals yet in the last couple of weeks, Lisa, I also feel like they've kind of built up something else. They've worked towards getting clean sheets, which is not something that we've associated with this Kansas City Current team this year. Big part of that might have something to do with the shakeup in goal with Schultz now in there. And maybe that's going to help motivate them going into this match against Washington Spirit. They do not want to have a repeat performance where they give up 4 goals. It's not going to be easy because the Spirit are playing what feels like lights out right now. But I think this might be a little bit of a different matchup that we get to see that we saw the last time.
I totally agree. And thinking about Kansas City, they got Bia back.
Mm-hmm.
She breaks up play so much for KC. I think they're a little bit more dynamic, unpredictable because of her hold-up play, how technical she is. I think she reads pockets of space really well. And when she's able to check down off of a back line, she draws 1 to 2 defenders with her every single time. That opens up pockets of space on either side of her, then to play Chiu through, or another forward, Michelle Cooper's back, Michelle Cooper through. I think she gives another wrinkle to their attack where it's going to make teams have to sit back, respect them a little bit more, like the Spirit, as opposed to let's just shut down Chiu and then let's attack, which I think is what we saw a lot in the last matchup between these two. I think it's going to be a little bit more of a fair fight, and Alana Cook now is settling in. I think that connection with Schultz has been a little bit more solid. They look more fluid together. But yeah, I do think Kansas City, you're right, Sandra, that's a really good point. They're focusing on the shutouts, not conceding as much as they did before. And I think their Spirit's got a bigger challenge ahead of them than we saw in the last matchup.
Christine, when you think about this Washington Spirit side, knowing that they've already clinched the playoffs, does it help alleviate some pressure heading into this match?
I don't know if it'll alleviate pressure. I think there's always going to be the pressure to perform. I just think this is going to be a different kind of match on both sides. Obviously, Washington Spirit think that they sort of have Kansas City found out, and I think that that's been evident over their last few matches where you know that if you hit them in transition, they just leave too many pockets and gaps to just kind of dig into, and that's been their Achilles heel all season long. I think that with some of their adjustments, especially with Bia being back, to Darian's point, helps a lot. Michelle Cooper, Alana Cook, Schultz, which Vlatko had addressed her in goal, just trying her East Coast, West Coast, day, night games to sort of ready her for playoffs. I think that that's made a significant impact for her. But Washington Spirit seem pretty unstoppable at this point. They've got the bounce in their boots. They're playing beautifully. They're confident. I think that's going to be pretty formidable to come against this match for Kansas City, but I think we'll definitely get goals. If it's anything like their August match, we'll get a lot more fouls too. I just remember that being a foul fest on the Kansas City side.
Big revenge for Kansas City as they look to bounce back against Washington Spirit. Match of the weekend. You can watch it this Friday night, and of course, all the other NWSL matches that are to come this weekend. It should be a good one. Tune in, enjoy the women women's football, and thanks for joining us today. We'll be back in studio on Monday to recap the weekend and everything that has happened. But thanks everyone so much for joining us. You can watch us, youtube.com/attacking3rd, like the video, subscribe. We're available as a podcast. Download, follow, subscribe anywhere you get us. And always, you can watch us on CBS Sports Golazo Network. For Darian, Sandra, and Christine, I'm Lisa. This was Attacking Third.